listening to the Sports Circus, and I'm Mike Golick.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all, those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, and a big welcome in everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Everybody watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wow, Charter, and I guess, some of those independent cable affiliates as well. Yes, in select markets. I had to hesitate, folks, because I have to remember, that's right, we're on Independence as well. Also on Hotel TV, where applicable. Plus, everybody's streaming on Pick Your Favorite Streamer, as well as on Facebook on Chicago Food Favorites. Thanks for joining us over there in that group. A fun group. It's free. Talk about your favorite restaurants, favorite recipes, your favorite foods, and make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. And by the way, folks, if you're a first-time listener here, we do, on occasion, give away some pretty cool stuff. And now we have partnered up with our friends over at Vacation Buddies, and they want to give away a couple of nights in Branson, Missouri, Las Vegas, right here in Las Vegas, or in Orlando, Florida. If you can answer this simple trivia question, which NBA superstar won 6 NBA championships? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Again, if you know the answer to that trivia question, which NBA superstar won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they sure want to give you a couple of nights here in Vegas or in Branson, Missouri, or in Orlando, Florida. Give them a call right now, 888-576-5777. All right, now that we get all that out of the way, listen, I want to talk a little bit about leadership in the NBA. Now, we did a show on leadership, what makes a good leader, what makes a great leader, what makes a good player, what makes a great player, and all that fun stuff. And that was several days back. You can go ahead and pull that one up. Go to Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart, YouTube, Stitcher, Deezer, whatever. We're on all of those, folks, and find that episode. And it says good versus great. Real simple. But now, in taking the old proverbial deeper dive, right? Everybody seems to say the deeper dive, or let's go down the rabbit hole. I mean, all these catchphrases, whatever. So let's think about that for a little bit, about the NBA. And once upon a time, the NBA was a really unknown league. And then the league got real popular. And then the league started dropping off, like it is today. And you ask yourself, why? What happened in the NBA? What really happened? I mean, look, there's a lot of people that have a lot of opinions on this. And look, a long time ago when I started this show, I started out in the same studio as 2 other nationally syndicated shows. Little did they know that I was going to be the third, and that was right here at Fox 1340 in Las Vegas. And so some years ahead of me in the rodeo, I had the exact same board operator, the same producer, same everything. And like he was a little bit tough on me, but he was good. And so I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. But one of the guys that was there ahead of me was a guy by the name of Colin Cowherd. Now, I never quote this guy. I think he sounds like a game show host. He's good at what he does. It's just not my cup of tea. But we all believe to some degree that there is a leadership problem. And everybody's got an opinion on it. I have a people. But Colin had said, and this is according to basketballnetwork.net, and he says, or he believes that the NBA has a serious leadership issue. Quote, NFL never had a leadership void, and the current basketball culture in America skips a vital step. So let's see what he has to say. And this was from, well, not too terribly long ago. And of course, he essentially highlights the NBA's leadership void, contrasting modern player development with those of the past. And let's hear what he has first. So they say American basketball has evolved over the years. However, some argue that with the evolution has come a noticeable void in leadership. And Cowherd, a renowned sports commentator, weighed in. Of course, everybody has an opinion, but I think you could really have an opinion if you've played sports at a professional level. And then I would say that maybe the opinion would be a little bit more validated, which I don't believe Colin Cowherd ever played any professional sports. But let's hear what he has to say. Anyway, he says, quote, the NFL's never had a leadership void. Players are older. They go through college or 4 or 5 years. Basketball culture in America used to be like that. Michael Jordan went 3 years. Larry Bird went to college multiple years. Patrick Ewing did. Tim Duncan did. The current basketball culture in America skips a vital step. Spot the talent in high school and let's get them paid into the pros, close quote. Listen, I actually agree with that one. And so he says the college problem is essentially this. The NCAA was a crucible for refining raw basketball talent into well-rounded athletes and leaders for decades. Now, icons like Michael Jordan, who honed his skills over 3 years at the University of North Carolina, and Larry Bird, who spent multiple seasons at Indiana State, emerged from college as mature and focused individuals. Fast forward to 2000s, and the basketball culture began prioritizing talent over tenure. And the old one-and-done era emerged, allowing players to spend just 1 year in college before leaping to the NBA. And of course, consider Kyrie Irving, one of the best players of this generation, who spent only a single season at Duke before entering the league. You know what's interesting about that? I'm just going to stop for a second here. And I remember when Irving went to Duke for essentially one semester, and he was the one-and-done guy, and then he went into the NBA and all that, so the NBA draft and all that. So I don't know what classes he took, but I believe he was conveniently ignored. And I remember he had put something out there to my Duke family. No, dude, you're not a member of the Duke family. And so he said, oh, I miss being there and all my people there and to my family and all this. Look, I get all the euphemisms. But let's face it, folks. If you went to the university, if you graduated from the university, if you are a part of the university, I'm saying not for one semester, for 5, 6, 7, 8 semesters, whatever, and you graduate, yes, you are a part of the family and you're part of the brotherhood. But if you did not, you are not. And I remember specifically reading that, and I sent him an email from my Duke email account to his Duke email account. And yes, you can email me at sal@alumni.duke.edu. That's right, just Sal, S-A-L. So I'm the first Sal. I mean, that's pretty good stuff, folks. So I have a very easy email to remember. But the reality with this is that if you're going to be a part of something, well, then be a part of it. Don't just say you're a part for a short time and move on. And I think that basketballnetwork.net got it right when they were talking to Cowherd about this. I feel the same way. I'm going to continue on with this, but I went off on Kyrie Irving when he said, oh, my Duke family and all this other crap. Well, guess what, kid? You didn't graduate. Last I checked, you only went really one semester, so you're not a part of the family. So moving on. That's why when I read this and it talks about him, so I had to go off on that tangent. It is what it is. Anyway, despite his undeniable skills, and Irving's career had been punctuated by controversy and criticism for his leadership or perceived lack thereof, his journey mirrors what the commentator identifies as a broader issue, from demanding out of the Cleveland Cavaliers to his turbulent stint with the Boston Celtics and off-court decisions with the Brooklyn Nets. And here's a nice little handy-dandy quote by what Collins said. He says, quote, "What Kyrie is what the league has become. Unbelievably gifted player, not a ton of leaders. I believe and I think basketball has a leadership void," close quote. Critics also point to the emergence of alternative routes to the NBA, such as the G League and all those others, whatever. And so that was designed to give players some level of professional experience, but doesn't give them the time they need to develop in college. So today, rookies are viewed as newbies rather than devolved talents. Gone are the days when Magic Johnson, as a 20-year-old rookie, led the LA Lakers to a championship in 1980 by filling the void left by veteran center Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And so as we look at this, we say, you know what? Let's expand on it a little bit more when we come back here from break, because, folks, this is a real conversation that needs to happen. People are wondering why the NHL is passing up the NBA. Well, we're going to give you some of the ideas of that in just a few moments. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 414-948-0100 or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. All right, and a big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast, including our friends over in Atlanta, 99.1 FM WDJY. Thanks for waking up with us. Over in Auburn, Alabama, thanks for driving home with us on WAUD 1230. That is home of the Atlanta Braves. Welcome in to everybody up and down the Midwest, all the way out to the West Coast, driving up and down Interstate 15, listening in on Highway Country Radio, 101.5 FM, 107.3 FM. That's between LA and Vegas. Thanks for joining us also up the coast, up to Seattle and Anchorage, down to Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the Yankees, 49ers, and Alabama Crimson Tide. Plus, welcoming everybody on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, WOW, Charter, and independent cable affiliates. Plus, everybody on Hotel TV and select markets, and where applicable as well. Plus, Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. By the way, folks, if you're just tuning in right now, we gave away a trivia question. We didn't give anything away with it, but we gave a trivia question out. And the trivia question was simple. If you could name the answer to it, you would have a shot at a couple of nights in Vegas, a couple of nights in Branson, Missouri, or a couple of nights in Orlando, Florida. And I'm going to tell you the question once, and you'll have a chance to call the telephone number and go ahead and claim your prize. So, the number is 888-576-5777, 888-576-577. And here's the question. Which NBA superstar won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? Again, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies, who's given this away, is not affiliated with the station, but they want to give you a couple of nights in Las Vegas, Branson, Missouri, or Orlando, Florida. Call them right now, 888-576-5777. All right, back to this leadership issue in the NBA, because this is a real problem. Going over something from basketballnetwork.net, and they were quoting Colin Cowherd, who I started the same studio, so I have no problem with him. I don't know him personally. Seems to be a rather personable human. Nonetheless, he has an opinion like everybody else, and he was essentially tearing up some of the leadership idea of what the NBA seems to be lacking. And a bit of irony, because this is exactly where I was going to go with today's show, but I'm going to go ahead and give it up to Colin for calling it out as well. So he says, quote, what Kyrie is what the league has become, referring to Kyrie Irving. And he continues on with unbelievably gifted player, not a ton of leaders. I think basketball has a leadership void, close quote. So critics also point to the emergence of alternative routes, as I mentioned, such as the G League Ignite program, etc., and so forth. But it doesn't give them time needed to develop in college. So, of course, today's rookies, well, essentially, they don't come in with the same experience that guys like Magic Johnson had, and this, that, and the other. I mean, even Michael Jordan went to college for 3 years. And so as we look at it, we say, all right, what's really going on here? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. Now, back to, let's just say 1985. We'll go back 40 years. 40 years. Now, mind you, Michael Jordan is already in the league at this point. He's right there. And so we look at the 1985 NBA draft. Now, in that draft, in the first round, well, better yet, let's just say in the draft, period. There was one freshman. One freshman. That's right, one. And as we scroll down looking at it, we say, all right, well, who was the lucky guy? And where did they go? Oh, that's right, I see somebody, and that was Manute Bol out of France. Or, out of Bridgeport, as a freshman. That was the University of Bridgeport. My point is, the second round, number 31 pick overall was Manute Bol. He was a freshman. He was one of those really, really, really tall humans. But looking up and down this entire list, folks, I got to tell you, I'm seeing senior, graduate, right? And then there's Manute Bol all the way down to 31. And then as we continue on through the entire draft, guess what? Well, it sure seems to me that Manute Bol is a pretty lonely guy as the only freshman in there, because as I see it, well, frankly, I'm not seeing any other freshmen in there. I see a scattered junior here or there, but these are mostly seniors and graduates. There's a couple of juniors, and we're talking now in the 5th round. We only have 2 rounds of drafting right now, right? So there's 59, 60 picks, whatever. And I'm all the way down to 115, and I've got one freshman, and that is Manute Bol. That's it, folks. So think about this. 162 players drafted total. One freshman. That's right, only one. And let's face it, in the first round alone, or better yet, let's just say the first couple rounds, 96% of these people were graduates or upperclassmen in the first place. 96%. Of course, margin of error, a couple percent, but hey, listen, that is a really big number. That's a gigantic number. Now, let's contrast and let's go to the 2005 NBA draft. And as you look at, 1 through 8, first of all, just go to the first 1 through 8. And what do you have? All freshmen. Number 9 is a sophomore. Number 10 is a freshman. Number 13 is a freshman. Number 14 is a freshman. 15 is a freshman. And then you've got, mind you, the Florida player, or the foreign players and whatnot. So the reality is, just in the first round, 18 of 30 were freshmen. And then, of course, 7 of 30 were sophomores or foreign players. So what that means is only 17% were either upperclassmen or college graduates. That's ridiculous. And so what does this show you? So in the previous segment and at the beginning of this one, we were talking a little bit about the lack of leadership. And listen, folks, you take the Larrys, Magics, Michaels, and Charles and all those guys that a lot of people know in today's time. And you say, yeah, there's some great leadership out there. Karl Malone, John Stockton, and on we go. So all these great players. I mean, even Patrick Ewing. I shudder when I say Patrick Ewing because I don't necessarily I don't really like the guy. I don't know the guy, but I never liked his game. Let's put it that way. I don't know the guy personally, so I can't say that. But my point is, even Patrick Ewing, a good citizen, a good human, he spent the time at Georgetown, did what he was supposed to do under a very, very good coach, under Robinson. And I have to say that the players from, we'll just call it 40 years ago, these guys were ready to come into the league and lead. Their basketball IQs were developed. And that's the biggest thing, because when you come in as a freshman, you're basically coming in as a 19-year-old kid, and you're 1 year removed from high school ball. And not everybody is a Kobe Bryant, for example, coming in right out of high school, or Kevin Garnett coming in right out of high school, or Moses Malone coming in right out of high school. Not everybody could do that. But what they can do is they could stay in school and they could learn and develop the leadership skills. And I have to say that it really is a big deal, because you think of situational ball, right? So I played baseball. I think of situational ball. Where are you going to go with the ball when you get the ball? And in basketball, it's the same thing. Where are you going with the ball when you get the ball? In hockey, where are you going with the puck when the puck is on your blade? In football, what routes are you running? What are you supposed to be doing? How do you develop your IQ? Well, in basketball, they just don't have enough reps to do that. Or do they? I don't know. I'm not a basketball player. I did play a different sport. But the reality is it is just a matter of repetition. And yeah, Cooper Flagg was the number 1 pick overall. And I'll get into the draft in the next segment. And as I look at Cooper Flagg, I say, yeah, the guy is developing. Will he be a great player? I don't know. Does the Dallas Mavericks know? No, nobody knows. You can make your best guess. But you got to remember, the working model for the Dallas Mavericks was Luka Doncic, who at a young age was already playing professional ball in Europe. So Luka Doncic was ready for the NBA as an 18-year-old, and this guy was good when he came in. He was NBA ready. And Con Knippel, also come out of Duke, is a different player. He was the number 4 pick. I'm going to get into these guys as we move forward in the next segment. But the reality is Knippel's a very different player than Cooper Flagg. But again, which players are game ready? Which players are NBA ready? Which ones are used to playing against NBA caliber players, and or which ones have had years to develop before going to the NBA? And so then you take that experience, and that drives leadership on the court. This is sorely what the NBA is missing today. When you look at the NBA Finals, how they have declined in popularity. The league has declined in popularity because there's no leadership out there in the first place. So I'll tell you what, the next segment, we're going to talk a little bit about the draft and which way these teams are going, could go, maybe some draft grades, who the hell knows? Anyway, don't go anywhere. Last more to come here on the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello Americans, it's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time. That's 800-950-2049.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP television. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guest, our prior guest, recorded shows, which could be found on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart, YouTube, Stitcher, Deezer, plus many other platforms, as well as social media. Make sure you check us out on Facebook. You can find us actually on Chicago Food Favorites, a fun food group. Talks about your favorite foods, your favorite recipes, your favorite restaurants. Hell, make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Also, you could find us on Pick Your Favorite streaming platform that has not been mentioned. And when you're at thesportscircus.com, make sure you check out our upcoming guest, our prior guest, and our partners. Lots of great partners over there, too. And in fact, one of those is Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. And if you can't make it over there for some great food, check them out at alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com. Read about the great food, the creation of the Italian beef sandwich 117 years ago. They've been in business since 1938, serving it up, and really is one of my favorite places. Check them out, folks. alsbeef.com if you can't get over there. Of course, they get the super applause because it's superfood. All right, so I was looking at the NBA draft, looking at the results and all this other fun stuff here. And essentially, the recent draft, the last draft, you look at 83% of those drafted were not college graduates or even upperclassmen. That's a very disturbing number, whereas 40 years ago, 40 years before this particular one, in 1985, 96% were either upperclassmen or they were college grads. It might even be higher than that. Margin of error, a couple, 3%, who the hell knows? So anyway, the point is most were, whereas in the 2025 draft, most weren't. And look, I'm okay with these picks. It wasn't really much of a shocker to me as I look at the top 10. And you actually had Duke at number 1, then you had Duke at number 4, and Duke at number 10. Mind you, it's a 35-win team that these players are coming from, but here at number 2, you had a player from Rutgers, and at number 5, you had a player from Rutgers. So think about that. 4 out of the top 5 either went to Duke or Rutgers. I mean, that's pretty impressive. So it's Duke, Rutgers, Baylor, Duke, Rutgers. And then after that was Texas. But the players in the draft, I mean, they were good. And so we look 40 years ago, it doesn't even matter because you had a smattering of schools, all different types of schools, sizes of schools. And, I mean, at the very top, you had Georgetown from the Big East. Then you had Oklahoma at that time from the Big 8. And then Creighton was number 3 with Benoit Benjamin. And then you had Wichita State with Xavier McDaniels. And then SMU. And I mean, look, it was a nice smattering of schools all the way down to Charles Oakley from Virginia Union at number 9. And as you rumble through, number 11 had somebody from Memphis State, and Louisiana Tech at number 13, Loyola of Chicago at number 14, and so forth. But as you go through the draft from the 2025 draft, and you'll see technically the big usual suspects, but you'll see also some foreign players. You see them from Germany and from China and Slovenia and France. Of course, you could say France, but no, say France. And so more Germany and Spain and France again and Serbia and Australia and another Australia and another one too, another one from Italy. And so you see it's a very international group, which I like that because the international players bring leadership to the table that's more developed, in my opinion, because they're playing pro over there earlier. Whatever the rules are, I don't know. But as we go through the draft, we say, okay, who was the legit top 10 or top 20 or top 25 or whatever the hell it is? And it's kind of like what's real and what's Memorex for all you back in the day, if you know, the cassette tapes of Memorex. So those proverbial draft grades, now this came out through CBS Sports with the Dallas Mavericks going first, picking Cooper Flagg. And Cooper, of course, being a Duke grad like myself. Nice round of applause. Yes! Yes! All right, so Cooper Flagg did go first, and he was a legit number one. And CBS says, look, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Dallas had less than a 2% chance of getting that pick. And, of course, in Flagg and the Mavs are getting not just an elite two-way prospect, but an elite two-way player, and he's ready to impact the team and help them win right now. And, yeah, they get rid of Luka Doncic. They send him over to the LA Lakers, and they get themselves another young version of what Luka was. And so, yeah, the guy's a great shot blocker. He's got a high steal rate. He's a good passer. But the issue is, look, he's only had one season, another one of those one-and-dones. And, yeah, one season, and he took some big strides to really put his mark on the game. But that one season, I'm really worried about that. Future face of the franchise, yeah. And so CBS gives him they say, a home run for Dallas, grade A. And I would say, I give him, I guess, probably about the same because there's really not much more you could say about it. Now, San Antonio picked a point guard at number 2 at Dylan Harper, and that was the guy, the Rutgers. And the Spurs have a good inside-out tandem they could build around for the next 15 years with Harper and Wemby. I mean, Wemby, I'm a little worried about Wemby because he's so thin. He's super tall, but he's so thin. I just don't know if he has the strength to play the NBA game. I mean, the guy could shoot, the guy could block shots. He's a shot blocking machine, but I don't know if he could bang down low with the big boys. And so as far as Dylan Harper, I mean, look, he's a big lead guard with a natural feel for the game and a great playmaker too. The guy's got good instincts, but again, he hasn't been developed. He makes those around him better. Yeah, at the collegiate level. Long-term question? Sure. Shooting potential, durability? We don't know. So now you've got your inside-out game with the Spurs at being two guys that may have durability issues, and that is an issue as I see it. So when you look at Dylan Harper, you say, all right, well, Dylan Harper, I mean, yeah, he could be one of those guys. And if he is one of those guys, that will last. And again, if Wemby can last as well, I think that's great. But this guy is only 6'6" and 215. That's it. So, and you take the size of Wemby, I think Wemby is just a little bit heavier than he is, and he's, 7'4" or something to that effect? The reality is they've got themselves a good pick, but they need somebody with a little bit of beef on them, kind of like that kid out of North Carolina State. Man, I forget his name, but boy, that guy can play. Anyway, the Sixers pick up a shooting guard at number 3. I mean, look, they say, being CBS, this is a solid, not spectacular pick. And, of course, Edgecombe is a spectacular athlete with incredible defensive potential. The word is potential again, folks. And look, he can put a ton of pressure on the rim, but he needs to grow with his guard skill. So here's a guy that plays offense. He doesn't play both ends of the court, and that is a problem. I mean, this guy, sure, he could shoot, but then again, the bigger issues are, can he really help drive winning today? Right out the gate. You never know. So CBS gives him a B. I give the 76ers a C on that pick. Now, this probably could have been the number one pick. In my opinion, the Charlotte Hornets got lucky and picked the small forward up from Duke, Con Knuppel. And this kid is legit. And I mean, he's legit. If you watch any of those games from the 2024-25 Duke team, yet another freshman. But man, this guy can do it, and he's just mature beyond his years. And he can play right now. He knows how to play with other really good players, and of course can hold his own offensively. And of course, he showed it at Duke. And when Cooper Flagg went down in the ACC tournament, this guy showed up. He was the leader. He's got mad skills. Very strong, but a very smart player. Went to a good school, a good IQ. This kid is smart on the court and off the court. He's a student of the game, and I like that. I want smart kids on my team, that's for sure. And, of course, some people say, well, maybe there's a little bit of issue on the defensive end and he's not an elite athlete. That's what they say, but you could say that. But, again, this is one of those one-and-dones. It seems like the whole damn league is loaded with one-and-dones, and they wonder why the ratings are down. The ratings are down because, why? We don't really have the leadership. Look at the finals between Indiana and Oklahoma City. Didn't matter who won. You had two teams that hadn't really been there. Of course, the Sonics with Oklahoma City way back in the day, but the reality is neither of these teams won an NBA title, and you had no leadership, no recognizable leader. And, well, guess what? Even the one leader that went down for Indiana, it certainly had an outcome of the series. It certainly had an effect on it. But looking at what they brought to the table, nobody knew who these guys were. And you know why? Because they didn't even stick around in college long enough to play the amount of time that they needed to play to develop their skills. Hence, the leadership affects the audience, the viewing audience. People say, well, who the hell are these kids? I don't know. I mean, me personally, I didn't even watch it for that exact reason. But Con Knuppel is legit. I would say a solid B would be the grade for the Charlotte Hornets on that one. They got themselves a guy that will show up day in, day out. And this guy is going to play very well next to LaMelo and Brandon Miller. All right, back here in a few minutes with the draft. Lots more to come.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt. with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio. Welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our radio affiliates, watching on television, and of course everybody streaming as well. Make sure you check out the sportscircus.com store, and that's right across the top. It says store. Lots of great items there: hats, t-shirts, hoodies, sweatpants, coats, and coffee mugs, and travel mugs, and mouse pads, and all kinds of neat stuff. American-made products, and of course, a shameless plug for the Sports Circus. And if you want to learn about our logo, info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. All right. Nice round of applause for the Sports Circus. And of course, a shameless plug so we can pay the bills too. All right. All right. Back to the NBA draft and thinking about, I'm only going to go through basically the top 10 here. I don't need to go through the balance. And so we left off with Con Knueppel, a solid pick from the Charlotte Hornets. And frankly, I mean, look, Knueppel is good. He's not as good as Cooper Flagg, in my opinion. However, certainly a top 4 pick. He is one of those guys. And giving a grade of a B by CBS Sports, I think that's fair. I think they were okay with these. And that's probably the reason I'm talking about them, is because what they did was, in my opinion, the right thing CBS did in their grades. But I believe that the Utah Jazz may have a problem here with pick number 5 of Ace Bailey out of Rutgers. And they gave this pick an enthusiastic A, and his upside is significant. He didn't work out for them, but Utah was not going to get bullied by Bailey's representation either. Boy, and these guys, I don't want to play for this team. That kind of crap. I don't like that stuff. I mean, look, they took the best prospect on the board, and look, the guy's he is a top 5 pick. And of course, he's got a really big wingspan and everything else. And the guy, albeit a small forward, the guy makes the tough shots. I mean, look, if everything clicks, he could have the highest upside in the draft. But then again, he's going to have an opportunity to have an impact immediately. In the long run, it could work out for the Jazz, but I just don't know if you start out that way and say, well, geez, we don't want to play for you. We don't like you. We don't think this organization and your racial culture or whatever the hell it was, the issue, I don't even know. It was something that had to do with playing in Utah, and somebody told me, but I'm not going to quote them because, frankly, I don't know. But somebody told me that it was we don't want to play for this club because of this reason, whatever the hell that means. But all I do know is that they will, as I see it, have a problem moving forward. Off to Washington with the Wiz, and they got themselves Trey Johnson, a solid pick out of Texas. And look, the last option of a clear top 6 in the draft, and this guy really was. And look, they tried to get Bailey, came close, but of course they shot and missed. So if Johnson is the contingency plan, it seems to be a pretty good one. And he has NBA caliber size, and he'll be able to score right away in the league. And he showed tremendous growth in his efficiency at Texas. But then again, remember, that's not the NBA. Sure, he made tough shots and all this other crap, but I don't know. I mean, giving him a grade of an A for the Wiz, I don't necessarily think that's an A grade. I think that's more of the B minus, because yes, they may have taken somebody that was a top 6 and maybe the best option, but folks, it is system. You have to pick the player that fits your system. And go back to the 199th pick overall when Tom Brady was picked. Tom went to the right system. It's not that he was a great quarterback because, look, everybody passed on him essentially 6 times. No, he went to the right place and was in the right system, and that's how that stuff works. So is Trey Johnson the right fit for the Washington Wizards? Probably not. Do they deserve a grade of an A? Probably not. He'll probably get dealt somewhere where he's a better fit, and the Wiz will stay as a pretty bad team anyway. Same thing with the Pelicans. And these guys, Jeremiah Fears out of Oklahoma, I don't know. I mean, even CBS gave him a grade of a C+. And he's one of the most polarizing prospects in the draft. And imagine Anthony Edwards, who I really like Anthony Edwards, but imagine him to the nth degree, whatever the hell that means. So a more polarizing individual, possibly, I don't know. But I don't know. There's bust potential here. That's the part that really makes me worry for the New Orleans Pelicans. And look, those guys, I don't know. I mean, is he going to fit in with Zion Williamson? But then again, can Zion even stay healthy? I just don't remember when I've seen Zion Williamson play a full season. Oh, that's right. He hasn't. So the bigger question is, did they make the right pick? You may pick somebody that may be a problem. I don't know if this guy is. He may be a problem in the locker room or on the court. You never know. And so there could be some fire in the belly that will benefit the team. But sometimes these situations say, I'm going to demand a trade. I want to go to a different team. And I'm seeing that's exactly what's going to happen here. How about Brooklyn with Igor Dimon from Brigham Young? This guy is 6'9". He's a point guard at 6'9". Everybody calls him a point guard, but again, he's 6'9". Remember, Magic Johnson was 6'9" as a point guard too. So I'm not really buying into the idea of him being that, more of a small forward, even a power forward. But this guy really is a forward, just happened to be playing the point guard position. Remember, Scottie Pippen was, 6'7", if I'm not mistaken. I think he's 6'7", as a point guard as well. And he played point very, very well. Very underrated with that. And anyway, back to Igor. And look, to draft him in really this high, you really got to buy into the idea of what this guy supposedly is. Is Brooklyn buying into it? Yeah, they are. I mean, who the hell is he going to guard in the NBA is the bigger question. Let's go to number 9 with the Toronto-sauruses. And they pick up Colin Murray Boyles out of South Carolina, 6'6", power forward. And that's without shoes. And, of course, this guy is not a three-point shooter. So what is he good at? Look, the guy's got the big wingspan, so he may be able to defend and block, which is a good thing. And he's a pretty strong guy. So he does play bigger than he is, luckily for the Toronto-sauruses. But the bigger question is he that smart and versatile defensively? And look, in Toronto, he's similar to Scotty Barnes, but not as good. Fit becomes important when you try to maximize an asset. A grade of B, I think, is fair. And the last one, I'm going to run out the top 10 with Phoenix. And I like this one. I like this one a lot. And this is the kid out of Duke. And in fact, Phoenix got that pick from the Rockets because of their trade for Kevin Durant. And look, I'm a big believer in Maliuch, and this guy is good. He's 7'2" with a 7'6" wingspan, and this guy is one of those constant lob threats. You could throw the ball within 5 feet of that hoop, and this guy's going to throw it down. And that's really what he does good right now. Is he going to grow into his ability? Does he have the ability to guard anybody in the front court right now? I don't know. But this guy could sure score. They're going to have to teach him the game as far as how to defend a little bit better. He can run end-to-end. He does move well laterally. And he does have shot blocking potential. But again, he's not a big-time shot blocker just yet. But he may be. Remember, he's a big boy. That grade of A- is an absolute, I give him an A straight up. So when you think about what the Phoenix Suns did, the Phoenix Suns get rid of Kevin Durant. They get back 2 really good players and a draft pick, and the draft picks happens to be Maliuch from Duke. And this guy is good, so they get the big salary dump of, $100, $200 million, whatever the hell it is, and they get back 3 players that will play immediately. So it seems to me that Phoenix saved a boatload of money, and they got the better end of the deal. And the Rockets, they got themselves Kevin Durant, who, I don't know, he's 36 years old, if I'm not mistaken. He's still got some years left in him, but who does he have around him? I don't know. I mean, I know who is around him, but my point is Phoenix is closer now than what they were before the trade, getting rid of Kevin Durant. So good for Phoenix, and of course, bad for the Houston Rockets. All right, so talking about the NBA and leadership, it's where we started off this show. And the NBA and leadership, there's a lot of perspective about this, and you say, well, yeah, how does it affect the fans? Well, the fans say, hey, listen, we just aren't going to come out and play, or we're not going to come out and pay to watch you guys play. And so if you look at the NBA attendance versus the National Hockey League, yes, the National Hockey League is actually drawing more than the National Basketball Association. Why? Because you have developed players, you have developed game, you have developed leaders. You don't have a bunch of 19-year-old kids out there. You got a couple here and there. But let's face it, when you think about the NBA's total attendance, the regular season, the NBA was 22.3 million fans, all right? Pretty respectable number. However, when you look at the NHL has more fans. They have over 23 million, and don't forget, there were 6 neutral site games that drew a combination of almost 200,000 more, and there were 8 such games played in the previous season that drew another 305,000. So en route to hitting the record figures for the NHL, the clubs combined to fill 96.9% of every available seat. Now that's pretty exciting. The NBA can't say the same thing, that's for damn sure. That's 97% of every available seat in the National Hockey League. And not included, of course, in the overall stats, are an additional 135,977 fans that attended one of the 7 games, 4 at Bell Center and 3 at the Boston TD Garden of the Four Nations Face-Off. Remember, that was the replacement to the All-Star Game, and the All-Star Game, of course, failed miserably in the NBA, but the All-Star Game of the Four Nations Face-Off was absolute genius by those that put it together. And I'm going to give it up, which is something I never do. I'm going to give it up for Gary Bettman. But Gary Bettman absolutely, his league killed it as the commissioner of the NBA, where I believe that Adam Silver, a fellow Duke guy, in my opinion, is laying an absolute egg at best in the NBA. Adam Silver, in my opinion, should be fired because the NBA is just withering away. They're now behind the National Hockey League for attendance. And let's face it, for favorability amongst the fans, even the hockey fans won't even watch the NBA, but the NBA fans will watch the hockey because hockey is just more exciting, period. They're drawing more, they're making more money, and their overhead is less. They're not paying the players but a third or a quarter or even 10% of what the NBA players are making. They're absolutely killing it left, right, and center.
Show me the money!
And the NBA fans are paying way more for ticket prices, and the NHL fans are saying, hey, look, we don't mind paying for the tickets, but they don't have to overpay. Oh, hell no. The NHL fans are getting more bang for buck than the NBA fans in the first place. So guess what? The NHL now is more popular than the NBA. That's right. That is incredible. All right, folks, we're going to see you in about 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
If I was...
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.